Oh, well, listen, JP Sebastian's here, which means one thing and one thing only. It's time to discuss movies. Well, we cannot talk movies without your little movie intro playing.
Yeah, the guy who, let's see, I keep trying to think of like the most cheesy dad rock that I last listened to that actually runs against that genre you just played. Michael Frank's When I Give My Love to You.
It's okay.
Smooth jazz kind of guy over here. Although, hey, whatever. I'm very appreciative that Expresso thinks I'm hardcore.
Oh, no, we think you're quite cool, especially when you bring us really cool new movie trailers that has released. So let's look at the first one. It is called Handsome.
Mm-hmm. And what JP is always trying to do with you here, by the way, is I'm trying to show you the ones that enticed me, that, you know, tickled my senses. And while these aren't necessarily eye candy and fireworks and that kind of stuff, these are two documentaries I want to show you. The first being, as you said, Handsome.
Handsome.
And man, it looks like it's going to completely break my heart and our hearts, ideally, and help shift perspectives on things that we have silly stereotypes about. Handsome is about a guy and his brother, and like I said, a documentary, so a true story of these two men who go around the world. The one has Down syndrome, and they visit other siblings who have one of the siblings having Down syndrome. So they go from New York to Mumbai to Hanoi. And already at the outset, there was a little quote there, and obviously I have to remove all the text, I'll just show you the pretty pictures, but from a quote from Louis Theroux, who people might recognize. He's a great documentarian. You see him all on the most fancy BBC documentaries, whatever, and he said this is already an intimate, personal, beautiful story that we absolutely all should be devoting our attention to. Goes to these different people and says, like, what was your walk? What was your journey through what is something that I think people who are who maybe, you know, don't have, say, a family member with Down syndrome take for granted that, oh, well, they just get taken care of or something like that. And the documentary already tries to like have some more empathy for, say, the carer and the person with special needs who doesn't talk around or whatever. There he's talking to someone who says, like, I was told by people you just have to walk on and leave them, say, with a home or something like that. And these aren't necessarily questions that it appears the documentarian invalidates or says, oh, you're horrible for thinking that or whatever. It just throws all these ideas together and asks, what is hard about it? What is life-giving about it? What is joyous about it? And how do you just admit that it's a climb that needs as much help and is as dependent as caring for anyone with any other kind of ailment. But it looks really sweet. There are funny moments as well. They talk about, like I said, the bad stereotypes that are involved and the stupidity around putting stigma on people with Down syndrome. But also it just looks very personal as well. These brothers growing closer and closer together to find, now we're at a new chapter in our lives. Alex, the guy who's now 24 and has Down syndrome, knows that is someone going to care for him for the rest of his life? How do you do that? I think it could be invaluable for anyone who has a family member or loved one who knows anyone with Down syndrome, and for people with Down syndrome to see themselves reflected in the world and in documentary. It could be quite beautiful. No date for it in SA just yet.
No release date yet, but absolutely beautiful. I mean, I'm loving how, like you said, this documentary, it's intimate, and it really, I love how certain documentaries just give you a little bit of insight, which now leads us to the next trailer that has been released that I want to talk about, Collective, and it touches on that Romanian fire that broke out at the nightclub.
Yeah, people might remember it was 2015. It was even on our news worldwide. In fact, there were, whether it was expats or anyone just protesting about the corruption involved and how this thing happened. So, just to refresh your memory, 2015, a nightclub called Collective, which had this rock band playing there, fireworks went off, and I was reading the timeline of events, and from like 10:30 at night to 10:32, the place went from being completely intact to burnt down and having pine boards falling on audience members and everything like that. It doesn't focus so much on the events of the night, but how, and you already knew this from your own research, we were talking about it earlier, people went from 27 dead at the site of the fire to 64 total.
Yeah.
What happened to people in the aftermath and what went wrong? So it follows this newspaper that does investigative journalism, which unfortunately these days, I don't know, it feels more and more rare. They believe that people are going to feel that they're completely crazy for putting in their head the theory that they are, but they uncover the truth, and it's pretty damning. I won't give it away, even though it's like a, you know, it's not a spoiler, it's a documentary, but people are calling it a masterpiece, and it's Romania's offering for Oscar consideration at the Academy Awards this year.
I like that, and I mean, there's something about this documentary, it just makes you want to actually go and do your own research and really just see, like, fact-check everything, and it looks powerful. So
especially at a time like now,
Yeah.
when we're wondering, you know, what is journalism and what is the power, what are the limitations of it? This kind of thing can be totally inspiring for anyone who wants to study it or study the world.
Yeah. Well, there's no release date for Collective or for Handsome, the two movie trailers we've reviewed with JP Sebastian. But don't go anywhere. He's still going to stick around on your Feel Good Breakfast show with more movies releasing, and he's bringing that to your screens.